This is my path, my journey. I'm willing to explain it all to you guys. No holding back anything. I just hope you're ready for the experience, and I just hope you can handle it.
Disclaimer. This video was intended for an adult audience only. Viewer discretion is advised. Anything you see in this video, do not attempt to recreate. This video was created for documentation purposes only. Our purpose is education. We are not justifying or glamorizing using substances. What we are doing is educating people on the substances that we have used and what it has done for us. Do not recreate or do not redo the substances we have done just because we talk about it.
So before I get into this, it's an up and down video for the most part because of my state of mind when I made the video. I forgot to mention certain things that I'm going to mention after the video because I forgot to mention it in the main video, so I'm going to clip it in afterwards. And I also forgot to mention that this is a cannabis butter and LSD trip. So I took a moderate dose of Cannabutter with a decent dose of LSD and probably about 500 micrograms. It made me realize that it's not about the dose. It reminded me of the Terrence McKenna thing when he said, if you can push the valve open, like it's open. Like you can have an experience that if you know how to push it and you know how to open the door, once the door's open, it's fucking The trip that I had last night, or the trip that I'm still in technically because I'm still tripping, but like the trip I was in last night, it was the deepest LSD trip I've ever had. The last time I used to smoke DMT all the time. Okay, me and my friend Twiz, we used to smoke DMT all the time. And I mean to the point where when he would smoke DMT, he would like do this thing with like his hands. It'd be like he would smoke the DMT, and I mean like straight blast off doses where like it would just knock someone the fuck out. He would just immediately kind of like start. I don't know how to explain it. Obviously, I have a phone in my hand, but he did it with two hands. So like he was able to like literally like type. I don't know how to explain it, but I was literally doing that around the whole entire room, basically like. Right? But I got so caught up into it. It was like this moment of like being a gear. So like, you know how like there's a watch and the gears are moving inside of the watch. It felt like when I was doing this, you know, and just moving around the thing, just dancing. It wasn't even dancing. It was like strategic movements in a rhythm to then create the mechanism of action. So like, just like gears and a clock are touching against each other to spin, it was like that. Like that's what that was. The touching the other part to make it spin to get the clock spinning. What the fuck was spinning? I have no idea. Last time I've had this experience, I was on DMT, not LSD. If most people probably have never even really gotten to that experience on LSD because they're like, it's, I guess, scared or I don't know, because there was so much to this trip that I'm going to end up losing it trying to explain it. And like, I've had a lot of trips where I've done fucking traveled across the whatever the fuck, but this was not like traveling across whatever the fuck. This was straight like, so you see like this is a psychedelic pattern type shit. It's almost like, you see there's like an elephant right here, okay? And imagine if this was like alive in a sense, you know, that would probably be spinning around where the elephants would probably be going around or whatever the fuck. And it's almost like I was this thing just spinning around, creating, moving energy around, manipulating energy within movements and time and space and with intention and straight fucking flow. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it reminded me of like a freestyle. So when somebody is in the middle of freestyle rapping, in the middle of the freestyle rapping, if you ask them, what are you doing? Like, are they thinking? Or are they just speaking? Are they rap? Like, what is that moment? That is that flow state. In the flow state is this ability to be able to manipulate energy and to move energy around. So, light and dark exists. I don't know if it's good and evil, but that's what humans probably like mistake it as. But there was this moment when the trip got so intense, okay? Because I'm sitting there like around the fucking room to the point where I had to try to stop because it was almost like I was spinning myself out of the fucking room. Like the visuals I kept making the visuals heighten and heighten and heighten and heighten and heighten to the point where it's like I'm going with the music and I'm just doing, because I have my headphones in listening to the songs, listening to my song, the music that I make, right? And like, I was just sitting there just doing the thing, dancing, like doing the thing in the movements of it. But I got so into the movements of it, it's almost like it started taking me out of this reality to the point where my mind started going like, I don't know, when I'm tripping that hard, yeah, of course, sometimes the mind can wink, sometimes you can have mind loops, and that's normal. This was a complete mind defragmentation of me. Like, I'm very strong-minded. You can give me DMT, I can keep myself together, or whatever the fuck. Like, you can have the most insane thing, like the thing that would make most human beings, like, literally lose their mind, where they'd be like, oh, I can't handle this, my mind's about to crack, and then their mind cracks. I can handle that shit, okay? Without cracking. This fucking experience almost cracked my mind to the point where I ended up having to lay down. I had to force myself to sleep. And it was a funny thing because I had to force myself to sleep and I had to use a trip killer on myself in a sense. I had 2 like full doses of kratom set aside for like the morning. As this was in the middle of this thing, I knew that I was so far gone that I couldn't think, that there was no coming back. I don't know. I knew that there was something wrong. So, well, there's nothing really wrong, but like, I knew that it was not a normal fucking trip, okay? And as I settle the fuck down, right? I sit down, and so I make this like mixture of like seeds and stuff. Okay, so I eat like flax seeds and a bunch of different shit. Okay, this is my mixture. Okay, so in my mixture, it's like a bowl of mush. Okay, but literally, I had to try to shove the mush in my mouth because I didn't know. I had to find some way to ground myself. Okay, so I'm tripping balls. I fucking settle myself down. I take the kratom, and then I'm still in it so hard where it's like I'm almost like in DMT space. I'm not like DMT. That's what the fuck it was like. Like in the middle of the DMT thing. Like fucking, I don't know. So, but then it got so much deeper than just DMT because like, oh my god, I gotta try to explain this shit. Because I went to fucking sit down, okay? After, like, I took the kratom to try to settle myself down, I, like, sat down. But, like, it's almost like when I sat here, I began to blend in with the couch and the area around me. Like, my body began to feel like I was water, And it reminded me so much of DMT, because on DMT you could feel like you're water, then you feel like you're vibrating, then you feel like you're nothing, yada yada. But like, that's what it was like, because I started feeling like everything. And then I started feeling like if I sat here feeling like I am water in an ocean, I sat there and like kind of would stare off, but then would watch the individual, like the world itself. Like I'm tripping balls and obviously you see the colorful shit and all that other shit. But it was like you're tripping and then you could see like the individual water drop, because you know how, like if you see ocean moving, it's just water. It's not like you can see the individual water molecules touching next to each other as they're moving back and forth, but that's what it was like. And then it got deeper as I stopped, and that's when it got really deep, because like right now I can think about the past. I could tell you my name. I could tell you where I am, what I am, all this other shit. But right now, I'm staring frontward, okay? But as I'm staring frontward, it's like I'm about to fucking lose it. But as I sat here, blending in with everything, because like I was so in the higher dimension that when I started coming down, it was like, so it was literally like being born. Okay, so like I remember having the blah of a baby. Like I came back. It was like being reborn and having no ability to think other than I grabbed my food stuff and I sat here. That's what the fuck I sat here doing, eating my food stuff as it started flying out of my fucking mouth, cause I'm like I was a baby back. Like it was like being a baby, and then it was like thinking about what a baby would feel like when you grab food, like the way a baby would grab mush, and we would just like grab it in like a comfort way, like just to feel the food, not just taste it, right? Like I don't know how to explain it, but a baby when it's first born, just sitting there playing with the thing, it's like, but that's what the fuck the experience was, because there was no ability to think. Like there was no knowledge for me to base what I was experiencing off. So when it was like coming back, I'm just sitting here like, yeah, because what's so funny is I'm up tripping balls, doing this fucking weird thing, spinning around like this cog in a machine. But once I knew I was getting too far out of it, I took the kratom to calm myself down. But that's when things got weird, because as I was on the come down, it was like my mind shut down. And as I was sitting here, eating the mush, became a baby again. And I'm sitting here like, I'm sitting here like, kind of like this, because I can't get my head up, because a baby wouldn't be able to lift its head up. So I'm just sitting there like, like, literally couldn't move, couldn't whatever. And it was the most craziest trip, because, like, I was in the middle of that. And then I was like trying to get out of it. But to get out of it, I had to start thinking. Okay, but think about this. So because I was sitting here like eating the mush, and it was just falling out of my mouth, and because like a baby, we was just sitting there like blah, 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 whatever. Like I had no memory of me or of human, of what I even did before that moment. So to me, all there was this moment of me with this mush of seeds. Seeds, it's cinnamon, chocolate, peanut butter, flax seeds, whatever. But like, so like it's pretty, smells like peanut butter and seeds. So I'm just sitting here, that's all I have though. Like I don't even know what a peanut butter is, but like if somebody took a whiff of this, they'd be like, oh, it smells like peanut butter. But to me, I had no idea what it smelled like. So all I knew was it smelled familiar. So I kept it close because it smelled familiar. So I'm sitting there playing with the mush, trying to figure out what the mush is because it felt familiar and smelled familiar. Obviously, it's because it's what the fuck I eat every goddamn day. But like, this was the moment. This is the fucking craziest trip I've ever had. I've never had a trip where I completely... Like, I've smoked DMT and was me in another dimension. I've smoked DMT and I was, like, smart me in another dimension, observing shit, going through things, or whatever the fuck. But this was me without intelligence enough to figure out or I don't know, like... What is intelligence, right? How the fuck do you judge intelligence if there is only one, if there's only the first input of information? So like, the first input of information, I'm sitting there like, nah. So as I'm sitting there with nothing, my first thought was to try to think, and I started thinking about something that then scared my soul. Like I started thinking. So like, I'm sitting here like, nah. I started thinking about like, what do humans, whatever. One of the first things humans say, or the first things we're trying to fucking say to each other, is "I love you." Like, it's one of the very first things we're all like, literally the baby's like, nah, 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 nah. But like, if it could, it would love to try to say I love you to the person that's taking care of it, and like the person that's taking care of it would love to say I love you to it if you could understand it. But like, so love is the first thing you're trying to get through. But as love was the first thing I was trying to get through, I almost sat there and bawled and shattered. But then I had to forget why I was gonna bawl and shatter, because it would have made me lose my fucking mind and bawl and shatter and fucking, I would have just sat there like boom, 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 because I went through the human history of the human soul of the very first man and the very first woman, or the very first love, or the very first love that fucking existed ever in the universe. Like the very first time anyone ever said I love you. The very first time in the fucking universe that is like, I don't know who I said it to, I don't know who the fuck said it, I don't know who I was looking at, I don't know what the fuck, but all I know is it felt like there was only me and that thing, and we love each other, and we separate, and we come together, and we separate, and we come together. We call one evil, we call one good, we call one light, we call one dark. But holy fucking shit. Because as I'm sitting here like, doing the mush, blah, 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 and I'm figuring out, okay, love. So I start saying in my head, I start saying love, love, love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love, like, because I used to, when I would smoke DMT, I used to have this saying in my head. I would just say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, to help me gain traction, or help me gain placement when I'm in other dimensions or other places without my physical body. I used love. to help me explain. So with love, it went from love to then God. Like, and then God, when I said the word God in my head, it's like the DMT space started coming back as I said, oh my God. Like the DMT space would like, but then as I would sit there and think about love, it'd bring me back to like love of like beginning of time, two souls, yin and yang, that deeply love each other, that are in this dance together, always playing hide and seek together, forever. So there's a couple things I forgot to mention because I started crying because I was still in it. But one of the things I forgot to mention, it's like the trip or me or both made me forget what I seen. And still talking about it, I still get emotional, yet I kind of don't fully remember why I'm getting emotional. Like, I went through this part of the trip that I'm getting ready to explain to you. The first thing I'm getting ready to explain, it's easy to explain. Second part, it's hard to explain. I'm going to try my best, but I have tried to make this twice. And each time, it's like it doesn't come out right. Because this was like I was fucking Men in Black flashed thing. Like they fucking flashed me and forgot. And I forgot. But so I'm sitting there, or maybe because I'll explain this. So first, I was sitting there spinning around the room, okay, doing this like taekwondo fucking dance thing. But as I'm spinning around the room, it feels like I'm moving energy around, and as I'm doing it, the visuals of the experience are heightening and heightening and heightening. Okay, so like it is slightly dangerous because it pushed it into like this extremely spiritual experience where like I felt like I was susceptible to my shadow into certain parts of the spirit world that I then sitting there like pushing negative energy away and moving positive energy and like taking negative energy, taking it and then transmuting it into like positive energy and moving it back up and doing this thing as I'm spinning around. Like that's what the fuck it felt like, okay? So as I'm sitting there, I come down as I'm starting to come down because like I was just getting it just kept getting stronger and stronger to the point where eventually I would have lost track of the room. Like I wouldn't have seen the room. So there was this moment where I'm like, bro, because even my mind was winking. Like, I started to not be able to think. Like, I can think pretty well when I'm on any psychedelic. Or even, like, yeah, I'm a little trippy in the mind, but, like, it's like, whatever. But no, this was different. So, as I'm doing it, and no, another thing was, as I'm spinning, okay, I'm spinning clockwise. I stumbled and I started spinning counterclockwise, and things got a little weird, eerie, trippy in a scary way. Reminded me of like this eerie feeling I can get on certain mushrooms sometimes. Or like, it just reminded me of like, it almost like it pulled in more shadow. So I had to then do the thing, spinning clockwise again, removing the shadow and pushing this thing and whatever the fuck. So I don't know how to explain it other than that. So as I'm sit down, I'm sitting there like, you know, as I'm like a baby, I'm like, love, 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 okay? So as I'm sitting there like a baby, talking about love, 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 it's almost like because as I was getting up, I was moving the negative energy around and I couldn't get up. So it's like this negative energy or something started to fuck with me in like a trickster way, a jokester way, but like an evil trickster. Like I've met DMT jesters and all these things on DMT. they never seemed evil. They seemed a little sinister or a little, I don't know, something. But they never seemed evil, but this seemed sinister, but like evil, like it, because it just wanted to do it to fuck with me. So like, but I didn't see, it's not like I seen any entity. It's just when I was sitting here, I was like feeling the presence of some like entity or something. And then it's like, I'm like, well, what is love? And it's like, it laughed at me in like an evil, and like I was almost like transported or like visioned, or I don't know how to fucking explain it, because I'm just sitting there like this, and I can't really, like, my eyes are open but they're not because I'm really high, and like, you know, it's this thing. So I'm sitting there like, well, what is love? And then it took me backtracked through the entire universe of love, like the most shattering thing. So I'll never look at yin and yang the same again, because the yin and, it was like I was looking at yin and yang like it was female and male energy, female and male God energy, consciousness, something, whatever the fuck, that's like dancing, intertwined, loving each other, but separate. Like, you come together, you separate. You come together, you separate. You come together, you separate. And it reminded me of the human world, where it's like, well, even when you have real love, nothing lasts forever. Eventually, your wife or husband will die on you, even if they never leave you. And you separate, you'll come together, then you'll separate again, you'll come together. Like, even if soulmates and twin flames and all this shit's real, you separate, you come together, you separate, you come together. But the only thing, what we do in the human world is just a reflection of what's happening in the higher dimensions, or it's hard to fucking explain. But it was the most saddest thing I've ever experienced, to the point where it started laughing at me, as I wanted to sit there and cry. Like, because I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm just shattering. As I wanted to cry, it was laughing at me, and then made me laugh. So then I started laughing, but all I wanted to do was cry. But I just sat there laughing. And then a tear dropped, like, almost like a tear dropped while I was laughing, but like, I don't know how to explain it. So then I said like, oh my God. And then when I said God, that's when it flashed the DMT world. Now that's when, because I said that in the video, but like, I forgot this detail because it was like, it made me forget. It was like, it made me forget what I'd seen, like what love was, the yin and yang energies, the, I don't know. I don't know. It's not like I seen Adam and Eve, but maybe, I don't know. It's like I experienced love and breakup and heartbreak and real love a million fucking times in one, to the point where then it took me back to like the beginning of time, or like, or before physical, or I don't know, but it shattered me. And I couldn't even chatter about it until I'm sitting there, and I told you this, but like right now, what I just said is only like 10%, 10 fucking percent of what I went through, of what that thing showed me about love. But it was like looking at Medusa. If I stared and remembered, I would have been stuck. Like, it's like it made me forget. It wanted to fuck with me, but it wanted to make me forget so I wasn't fucked up for the rest of my life. Like if a child sees a murder, or if a human sees him, like if anyone goes to war, or like PTSD, like you see people get blown up in war, you have you come back with PTSD. That would have gave me PTSD on another fucking level of like, I don't know. That was the most traumatizing thing I've ever experienced, because, and I don't even remember, because then when I started remembering, at the end of this video, like at the end of the video, right before I made this part, that's when I started crying, because it's a forever thing, and yeah, that was a fucking crazy trip, bro. Like, I don't know how to explain it. All I know is when you go in psychedelic spiritually, be prepared. Don't, because I don't believe in bad trips. There is no bad trip. The bad trip is when it starts to get spiritual on you. That's all. And if you're not ready for the spiritual, it's going to seem scary and bad. But it was an experience. And yeah, what a fucking experience.